Well, you want to get started then?
Yeah. Let's get started.
Or did we already start?
I think we already started.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we're just going, and we don't know what we're doing.
We have no idea.
I have no clue what's going on.
So, let's just start by introducing ourselves, I think.
I think that sounds great.
You go first.
All right. I am Brandon Trasick, formerly known as Brandon Tracy, and where's my flow at? Let's find it. Hi, I'm Brandon. It's kind of funny having the camera there. Definitely.
We'll forget it's there.
Yeah.
It's our first time.
It's there. So, I don't know what to say about myself in this moment, but I'm Brandon, and this is my friend.
I'm Shane. My name's Shane Estes. And we're just excited to be here to share with you guys. And just came from an inspiration from both of us. We wanted to work together. You've always known that we would do something together eventually.
Yep, I've known that from the first day we met, pretty much. Me and this guy, we met a couple years ago now.
Yeah. And,
right when we met, like a few weeks or whatever after we met, I spontaneously was like, hey, man, you want to go to Toronto with me this weekend?
I'm like, hell yeah.
Yep. He's like, hell yeah. I'm like, wow, I didn't expect such a quick yes on that. And so we went to Toronto to, what was his name?
Lee Harris.
Yeah. Yes. Lee Harris, intuitive guy. And, we had a really, really powerful weekend, didn't we?
It was.
Yeah.
It was cool.
It was really cool.
It was in this little church. I forget the name of the church now, but it's in the middle of, this concrete jungle. And it's just something that's been forgotten in time. Isn't that how you felt when you walked through it?
Yeah. It's kind of funny. There's this old church, just we couldn't even find the place at first because we're walking around and it's all big buildings. There's a giant shopping mall kind of thing. We're like, where is this? And then finally, we see an alleyway kind of opening into this courtyard with this 200-year-old church sitting there.
Yeah.
And wow, it was a powerful place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an intuition class that we attended.
Yeah, intuition.
And Qigong. Was our first introduction to that, too.
Yeah, his partner at the time taught us some Qigong throughout the weekend, and I found it to be really, really powerful.
Yeah.
The whole adventure was just weeks before quarantine happened. I remember being on the trip and there's all the news everywhere. Oh, COVID-19. And Shane's like, well, what do you think about this, man? I'm like, man, this seems like a bunch of bullshit to me. But, we get home and I think 2 weeks after that, they locked everything down.
Yep.
And,
I had to go to work from home. I had to shift from being in the office to working from home and was there ever since. Now I am too.
Yep.
Still am.
And then, so that gave me being inspired to, with the Qigong at our Toronto weekend, that inspired me to start learning Qigong. And so through the whole quarantine thing, I was doing Qigong for an hour to an hour and a half a day. Trying to balance out, the other more negative thing that happened for me during COVID-19 was ended up drinking way too much alcohol. It's I'm sitting around the house bored all day, every day. It's it's 4:00. I think I'll go grab a couple beers. And it turned into a daily thing. And I think the Qigong helped balance that somewhat. So,
yeah. There was something that I was just talking to Kelly about when on the way here, about when you and I were in Toronto, and I was introducing you to that song, Sacred, and we were jamming out to it, and, it was really a heart space type of thing, and you had said something that was real powerful to me, and you had said that I can't really connect to people that way. I connect through pain. And I thought that was a very interesting and true comment that you made about it, because we do connect through our pain. That's something we all, as humans, as men, we suffer with. We all have pain. And yeah, if you're high vibing and you're feeling great, and not everyone can relate to that in that moment, but we can into our pain. We can understand each other. I just thought that was an interesting point that you made.
Yeah, I think it is a really awesome point to or thing to think about. You know, I always look at music and like what's some of the most powerful music out there, and typically the most powerful music that more people connect with are songs about people's struggle and their challenges that they've had in their life. And for someone that's in a challenging life situation and stuck in pain, you know, it's impossible for them to connect with somebody that's, you know, living a life of joy and happiness. You
Right.
know, like a person that's depressed and feeling terrible about themselves, they just, like, they don't even think that reality is possible for them.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
so far away.
It's so far away out of their current perspective that, you know, that it's just not gonna land.
Yep.
You know. And so I think it's really important to connect with people and share our challenges and the pain that we've had, you know, so that way people, you know, people have something to connect to, and something that, you know, it can inspire a person like, oh man, you've been through all of that and you're where you're at now. Wow, maybe I can too.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And I think that brings us to the purpose of this podcast too. Like we're here as men, just want to share our struggles with you, want to share our victories, and just as we grow, like we're not there yet, you know, and it's the journey that we're upon that is revealing these as we go through it. And I have just gone through 3 or 4 months of really dark months of the soul, not just nights. And I know I'll get to that another time, but you know, and I know you've shared your struggles as well throughout the last couple of years. So
Yeah, it's been a challenging time.
yeah,
It is really challenging right now to like know how to be a man, you know. How do you be a man in this day and age, especially without, you know, proper mentors and
elders
in our life? You know,
Right.
we're living, our generation is pretty much void of like true elders. You know, our culture, you know, kind of like on a societal level, like stop maturing.
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah, there's older people, but they haven't matured into like true elders and are there to like teach us.
Yep.
You know,
The Native American tribes, I mean, they held their elders to a high esteem. You know, they were a vital part of their tribe. And you're just passing down the wisdom from generation to generation. And we lack that in our society, like you're saying.
Yeah, we're like here trying to figure it out by ourselves. And I mean, yeah, there's books to read, there's this and that, but you know, my own journey through the books and through listening to talks and all those kinds of things, you know, it's just like, I don't know, it almost just felt like it filled my mind and stuff up with more stuff.
Right.
You know, it's just more stuff that I didn't really know what to do with. And how I'm actually finding the most growth is like stop like reading so much, stop doing all of that, and just like really, really focusing on my current life situation. You know, and as I do that and ground myself and embody more of myself in my day-to-day life, you know, I get the insights, I get the things, and you know, slowly over time beginning to understand how to be a man.
One step at a time, right?
One step at a time.
Yeah, because like we get so, and I myself included, been so caught up on step 6, 7, 8, and get paralyzed, and now I can't even complete 1 or 2 because I'm thinking about too far into the future where I can't. It just paralyzes me. But what I'm learning is to be present, you know, and it's so easy to say, but so hard to do. But when I'm really like you and I know we have a podcast going on, but I'm really practicing presence with you. I want to hear everything you have to say. I want to take it all in, because that's a true friendship and a true, how do you say? It's just a true awareness of the situation. You know, you're not thinking about the next thing you're going to say. You're just really listening to the person you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And that applies to our children, our daughters and our sons, and you know, that kind of thing. It's everybody that we come in contact with. And I fail on a daily basis when it comes to being present, but the more that I am, the more rewarding that day is. So
Yeah. I mean, building presence is like a long-term art form. You know, it's not something you can just pick up. But luckily, there's great tools and things for us to help learn to get more presence. And Qigong being one of those tools that I found for me that has been really, really helpful for that.
Yeah, since I attended your class, I did it sporadically throughout the couple of years, but you've been faithfully doing it. I've been doing it quite a bit lately, and it's a whole nother level of how I feel. I just feel energy, if you will, to say, the energy just, all around us, everything we're picking it up and just cleansing it and purifying. And it's how it feels like when I do Qigong. It just really makes me, just moves everything around, and new energy coming in, the bad, not the bad, but the old energy going out. That's how it makes me feel anyway. So.
Yeah, that's what it does for me too. It's just like cleaning up my energy. It's made me more aware of like the energy flowing through my body, and I just think that that's so important, because once you're aware of like, oh, I'm feeling this kind of stuckness in my body, well, now that you're aware, you have power to do something about it. And I found a lot of power in like building Qigong into my day, of like, instead of having like this period of like, oh, I do Qigong for 30 minutes in the morning, to instead just like whenever I'm feeling off during my day, do whatever Qigong movement comes to my mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, the practice of 30 minutes a day for a long time has given me knowledge of a bunch of movements and ways to move the energy, so now I can like choose from those different movements for what's best suited in the moment.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's powerful. I've noticed it's given me more relaxation in my day-to-day life, better problem-solving skills, because problems are a lot easier to solve when you're not anxious about them.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It was Lee Holden. He's the practitioner for the Qigong I've been.
Yep.
You kind of turned him on to him too, and just great too. So if you ever want to look up Qigong and him, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, Lee Holden. You can look him up on the interwebs, and he does like weekly live videos online, and he's always changing it up. Mm-hmm. He's a good teacher. I know he has done stuff with like Mantak Chia, who's a big Taoist Chi kind of person, and I think he's a great one to look into.
There's many others too, just a reference.
Yeah, I mean, a quick YouTube search will give you tons and tons of Qigong. Doesn't take much. Yeah. So what else we want to talk about today, Shane?
Usually, and the reason that we were inspired for this, and to get back to your question here, but was like when we'd get together once a week, it's been more sporadic than that through the last year. But when we do get together, we just have these amazing conversations, and we're like, we should be recording this because it's great stuff. I mean, I don't know, there's been many talks that you and I have had that I've taken back and just learned a ton of things from, and introduced it in my own life, and it's been healing. This journey that you and I have been on together has been quite an amazing journey, and it's just a couple years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, and it just that brings me back to like Toronto and like our first little adventure together. It was like a shamanic journey.
Yeah.
The whole trip, it's just like we get stopped at the border. They're searching our car for guns or something.
Couple hours.
And we're like, what the heck? It brought up a lot of internal stuff with me, and then just like the whole way to Toronto, like the number sequences we were seeing
was out of control,
blowing my mind. Like it was like every few minutes we're seeing number sequences of like 3 or 4 repeating patterns, and then we get to Toronto and in Toronto, like all of the taxis have numbers. Their phone numbers are with multiple sequences of numbers, and then it was just like, pow,
Yeah. Country boys going into the city.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But another thing that I found really interesting on our trip is, remember one night we went back to the hotel room.
Yeah.
And we just started having one of them talks. We shared some of our deepest stuff with each other.
Yeah.
Deep stuff that I haven't shared with many people, and and I feel like we both held each other really well with that. You know, we all live our lives and do things in our lives that we aren't the happiest about, and we carry that shit for so long, and just be able to share that with somebody and have it really be held and cared for is phenomenal.
We built that trust in our friendship, is that, that trip. And another thing too is, like, when we first started hanging out, we'd meet up for dinner or lunch or whatever, and I had this thought in my head, and it's like I've had just a few good friends in my life throughout the years. I'm not one of those guys that have had multiple friends and just the life of the party all the time. I just had a few, but I always thought, what kind of friend do I want to be, or who do I want to have as a friend? Well, I wanted to be the friend. I wanted to act toward a friend the way that I wanted to be treated. So I needed to make that investment. And you and I talked about that one time when we were at dinner, I believe it was. And we just both made the commitment that we're gonna make this work. We're gonna be friends, and we're gonna go out and do whatever we need to do that. Be there for each other.
Yeah. So. Well, the great thing I like to see is, like, it's been really easy. To be your friend. Like, it's been like one of the easiest friendships I've ever had. Like, it doesn't seem like a bunch of stuff comes up between us.
Is this where the music comes in? Bromance.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can add that later.
Yeah. I'll add a little cue. Dun, dun, dun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What else do we want to do with what is the direction of what we want to do with this podcast? I mean, we said we didn't want to bring too many ideas up, let them flow naturally throughout the week as we meet once a week. Yeah. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, let's just talk about ideas right now on the podcast.
Sure.
Like, what do we want this to be? Maybe give a little preview to those that watch this of what's to come and all that. And, I think the main intention that I have with this podcast is, I want other wounded men out there to know that, you can grow and you can become a great man from humble beginnings.
No matter what your situation is.
No matter what your situation. I mean, as this podcast goes on, I'm sure me and Shane will get into our personal stories. I don't think it's going to go there much today, but, we both have humble beginnings, and, my own personal past has been very rocky, and, I'm still struggling with things from my past today. And, it's a journey for sure.
Yep. And the deeper...
We got a little flying guy around here. He's right in front of your face.
That's like a moth. Oh, edit. Edit that piece.
No editing. No editing. We're doing this real and raw. No edits at all.
Here we go.
I might clip the beginning.
No, I wanted to touch on that a little bit too. It's like, no matter what someone's past is, you could think you have the best childhood and everything around you went well. But even as an adult, we get our wounds, child wounds, we get adult wounds. We don't even think they are, but the more we dig and the more honest we are and the more aware we are of it, it comes to the surface. And it creates our personalities, and I'm only speaking from my own experience. It's like, for me, many of the choices I've made in my life have been because of the things that happened to me in the past. Protection. I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to feel that kind of pain again. So I become more masculine, or I get really in a toxic type of thing, just to defend myself. And I'm just saying, and as women too, we talk about the masculine, but the feminine as well. They're very wounded themselves. And there's a lot of, all of us, not just
men. Yeah, we're all wounded. Doesn't really matter what your background is. Kind of coming up in this society, and I can't even blame it on this society. I think it's part of the human journey is to come from woundedness. It's like the hero's journey. It's like coming from this like kind of meek place and growing into something great. And I think maybe where our society is lacking is it seems to like a lot of people in our society are like just decide not to go on the journey. They've gotten distracted with work and different things, and cover up the awareness with certain substances or distractions, relationships, all kinds of stuff there to get lost in, to avoid the stuff that's deep underneath. And
that book, The Alchemist, you remember that book?
Yeah, I do remember reading that book.
You had mentioned like the hero's journey. I think that's what Joseph Campbell, I believe, right?
Yeah.
You wrote that. That Alchemist was one of those stories where, he, not to give it away, but a boy started off on his journey. Where he started is where he ended in just a deeper appreciation for his life. So he had to go through all these trials and these struggles and the victories and the sadness and the depressions and all the things that went with that. But then he returned home with this deeper appreciation for home. And so you always return back to yourself. It's so easy to say that, like, everything that you ever need is within yourself. But it's so hard to accept that. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, and especially, when we're, it's easy to think that we're lacking, and we need something external of ourselves to fill that void, and I think that's what's great about this path is, like, each challenge I go through, it does bring me back to myself.
Yeah.
Every time, every relationship, every challenge, everything I go through, like, I come out the other side of it with just like this little deeper awareness in myself, this little more confidence in myself, this more a deeper knowing of who I am and, like, where I'm going and what I'm here to do.
Yeah. I always broke it down in simplistic terms because the world's crazy at times, especially the last couple of years. And something I used to teach my kids was just break it down to the simplest terms. What do we really need to live? Food, water, clothing, shelter, safety. There's just some basic needs that we need. And if you break down your job, you break down your boss, you break down all these types of things that create us stress every day, the necessities of life, if you keep it simple, it'll help you stay grounded. And I think our spiritual walks are like that too, to where if you keep it simple, like everything is within yourself, ground yourself, kind of get yourself in that space, in that simplistic space, because we clutter it up with, like you said, you have the books and you have these modalities or, all these different things that clutter up, and you create this spiritual backpack in your back, and it just gets too heavy, and eventually you have to drop it.
Oh yeah, no, it gets too much. I mean, like, on my own journey is like, I was like, oh, I need to make money. So I'm like working for someone. I'm also starting a business. I'm also like making chocolate bars, while trying to do my music stuff and get a podcast all on my own going,
Sure.
and just to a point where it was just overwhelming, all also at the same time, trying to heal myself. Yep. And, like, one thing I've been really appreciating in my life lately is just like this surrender. I've been feeling this, like, simple surrender. So for a lot of years, like, I really hated working. Like, I started working for a construction company like 4 years ago, and my journey with them has been crazy. Like, I hate it. Working in a construction company was the last thing I ever wanted to do. I always see myself as this great healer or shaman guy or
Sure.
whatever. And, and then my spirit puts me in this very simple, grounded profession that, like, me and my ego, we fought that shit tooth and nail for years. And I've tried leaving multiple times. And then, here I come crawling back after all my failures. And, and like lately I'm just in this surrender to it, like, I work with great people, we're doing simple things. There's camaraderie, I make a decent living compared to a lot of people, and so I'm just in this, like, really surrendering and being grateful for what I have. Whereas for years I was just fighting what I had the whole time.
Sure. And it's an artistic space for you too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with my other artistic stuff
Sure.
that I do. So it's really been a helpful tool for me.
Yeah, absolutely. That surrender part, we should probably do a podcast on that one.
Yep, I think that'll be a good topic to do sometime. So there's another one.
Yep.
Maybe, should we be taking notes when we come up with ideas?
I have my book right here.
Oh, thank you, Kelly, for the book.
Yes, my journal. Wait,
It's a cute
it
journal.
was a gift, just for the podcast. Okay, I'll take notes.
All right. Can you do it?
I think so.
You got it?
Got it.
Got the microphone and the notes?
Got it.
So what were our ideas? We said surrender was one.
Surrender. I think we should do. One on plant medicines too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both had quite a deep journey with plant medicines.
And I think, just sexual. Men as men.
Men's sexuality,
Sexual porn, that kind of stuff.
Oh,
We
yeah.
should start talking.
Yeah, definitely need to talk about porn quite a lot because I'm sure that's affecting almost every man out there right now. I know it affected me deeply, and
Me
that's
too.
that's a whole deep story to tell there. So,
Yeah. And we'll also take suggestions too. I mean, if there's topics that, you would like to hear and want us to address. I mean, we're not the professionals, but we're just two men living our journeys and want to share it with you. So, and this is just you sharing it back with us too. So let's take this journey together.
yes, the journey from the wounded masculine.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it too. And I think it's going to be a fun journey. Like, I'm pumped about this.
I got to write that down.
Gotta write it down?
I am pumped down. No, we're not going to forget it all.
No, I'm not going to forget that one.
not at all.
So, yeah, I'm excited about this. It's funny. I've known I'm supposed to do something like this, and I was trying to do it myself for so long. And I think there's just like something in the energy right now of the planet of just like quit trying to do shit on your own. Like come together with people, build stuff. Like it's time for us to start building.
Absolutely.
COVID put us deep in our own isolation and little caves, and I mean it taught me of just like my journey through COVID along with my journey of trying to run businesses by myself and do all that kind of crap. Like, man, it sucks wearing a million hats and trying to do everything yourself. So
Right.
life's a lot easier if we just meet each other.
Yeah. No, you bring up a good point though with COVID too. It's creating a mass awakening of people's consciousness, even mentally, just knowing that something's not quite right. With whatever the government's doing or whatever your views on that are, you're still in your still small voice inside yourself. There's just something not right, and I think that's what's created this mass awakening of people, and they're looking for answers. And you and I have been on this journey for quite some time now, but that doesn't make us experts. That just makes us we've been getting dirty and falling down quite a bit.
Yep.
So and
I'm an expert at falling down.
yeah, but we always get back up. That's the thing.
I'm an expert at smashing my face in the ground over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what is that? Carry water, chop wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before enlightenment, carry water, you chop wood. After enlightenment, carry water, chop wood. It's not just you're having this new epiphany of this wonderful life that is going to be full of riches and all this kind of stuff. It's one of those things where you're just grateful for what you have. Look at us. We have everything we need. I'm not hungry. We just had dinner. We have tea. We have microphones in our faces. We have beautiful women that love us. I mean, it's not something there's nothing to be ungrateful for.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so easy to get in that ungrateful state of like you're like, oh, I'm not where I want to be, and
Didn't
I'm
get
not
that promotion.
I'm not like this other person, or I got these problems, and I don't know. It's just like the more I surrender, and the more I'm just grateful for what's here in front of me. The more doors are opening and energy starts flowing, and like things start happening.
There's one thing I think we shared this before, but it really hit home to me is that each snowflake is completely different from the next one. And as a man, as Shane in this life, there's no one that's ever looked through my eyes before. There's no one who has ever walked in my shoes before, literally. And not that makes me better than anybody else. It's just a very unique perspective. So how can I compare myself to you, Brandon? if I have no idea what it's like to look through your eyes or, trim your beard or anything like that, you have your own unique perspective in this world that no one else can ever share. Creative expression any way you want. So why would we want to compare ourselves to each other?
Oh yeah, it makes no sense.
Right.
But
we do. I have.
But we do all the time.
I did today.
No, it's just an aspect of our mind that does that, and I think the more I just like accept that and I'm aware of it and take it back to, nope, I got my journey, and I deserve a great life just as much as anyone else does.
Absolutely.
I think that can be one of the tricky things about comparison is, what I've seen in myself is just like these thoughts of like, oh, I'm not good enough to ever be like at that level or whatnot, all from my own past or where I came from, but in the truth, like, that's all bullshit.
And that's looking at step 40 when you should be step 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What's the step right now?
Right.
That's why I really like us just like, this first podcast just showing up.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, we're going to do this. It is also February 22nd of 2022. We decided to start it on the Tuesday portal. I think that's a good choice.
Major portal, yeah.
Just, hey, let's just get together, do one, see how it goes, post it, see what you all say, and see how this goes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, anything else?
I don't think so. I actually feel like that is a very good first one to do.
I believe so, too.
Yeah. Feels pretty complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. So we're going to be doing this every Tuesday. I'll likely edit videos on Wednesdays, try to get them up Thursday, Friday. We'll see how that whole flow goes.
It's all an experiment at this point. So
this is an experiment. Luckily, I've done some of my own videos before, so
it's true.
I got an idea of what I'm doing. So, and I think the idea of keeping this simple, like really unedited, and
under the same umbrella. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
Well, sweet. Well, thank you all for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Absolutely. See you soon.
Peace.